Hello, empowered empaths, and welcome to the Power of Healing Your Energy show. I'm Christine Gold. I'm a spiritual medium, intuitive energy coach, and old soul healer. This is a live show and podcast all about unconditional love, your light, your intuition, and your soul's purpose. Welcome everyone to season 2, episode 28. And today I have a very special guest, Shawn Leonard, Aboriginal medium, talking about his new book, The Language of Spirit. And he's also going to be talking about how he works with spirit to heal hearts. I'm so excited, ready to learn more about the spirit world and embracing our innate psychic senses. Depression and anxiety are a side effect of not living your life intuitively, not trusting your gut, and the lost connections with yourself and others. I truly believe that healing is the end of conflict within yourself, and that healing begins where the ego ends. Join us live every Wednesday on Facebook and YouTube at 3 p.m. Pacific, 4 Mountain, 6 p.m. Eastern. A new guest and topic every week. Replays can be found on Facebook and YouTube. And please like, share, subscribe, follow, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. I'm Christine. Come on in, say hello, let us know where you're from. This is a highly interactive show, and we expect you to engage and ask questions. And today I'm super excited. I am honored. I am blessed. I am so grateful to have Shawn Leonard with us. I've been following him for a couple of years, and I know that many of his followers and friends and family are joining us as well. So we're just asking, are you ready to be awoken to the spirit world? Are you ready to embrace your innate gifts? And Shawn is a heart-centered Aboriginal, Indigenous, Mi'kmaq spirit talker and psychic medium. I don't need to tell you anymore because you probably know. I'm just going to bring him on. Hello, Shawn. Thank you so much for being here. I'm super excited.
Well, hello, Christine, and hello, everyone out there, whoever's joining us today. So thank you for having me on the show, and I'm really grateful that I'm able to share any wisdom I have to help inspire other people and develop their own innate psychic abilities and connection to spirit themselves.
Absolutely. And I always ask, I'm in Victoria. Where are you based?
Well, I'm in Nova Scotia, on the other side of the country.
Yes, we're on opposite ends.
Different ends of the coast, actually. So I can see the ocean right from where I am right now. So it's nice that I can see the water, and I love the water. I love being near the water. I used to live in Calgary, Alberta, and I thought I got to move back home because I got to be closer to the ocean.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. I grew up in Calgary.
No way.
And I was there for the 88 Olympics. I also volunteered there. And I was there when the Flames won their one and only Stanley Cup.
Wow. I missed that. I wish I had been there for that, but I know.
Oh, it was a party downtown, let me tell you. Oh gosh. Anyways, like I said, I'm just going to, guys, come on in, say hello. We're welcoming in Deanna. Thank you. Let us know where you guys are from. Let us know. Hi, Carol.
Yeah, these are people from my Spirit Talker tribe group, I see.
Oh, beautiful. I love that they're supporting you. That's amazing. I'm all about community and supporting each other. Connor, he's been looking forward to this for a while now. He can't wait. He's in British Columbia, loving the ocean and all the nature. Love it. Marsha, one of my beautiful mentees here from California. Thank you so much for coming in. And Carol's from the Ottawa area. Nice. And TB. Nice. All right. Thank you for being here. Oh my goodness. Look at all this love for you. Mm-hmm. Deanna's from New Brunswick in the 3rd year of Spirit Talker.
Yeah. So thank you, Deanna, for joining me. And everyone else as well. And this says, nah, no way. Shawn, didn't know you'd be here. I love your show so much. I've always wanted to know what experience led you to do the amazing work that you do.
That's a great question. Thank you. And bring your questions in, guys. Let's go.
Yeah,
Let's go.
I mean, I'll answer this one first, I guess. This is a great question to start with. So thank you for asking. To answer it simply, I feel what led me to this path was spirit. I feel we all have a purpose in life. And I feel like long before any of us are born into the physical world, because we are spirit, we actually are spirit first, and then we come into physical life as a human being, and you know, we create our life each day based on I believe, a plan that we had before we come into life. Does that plan have multiple paths? Absolutely. And I always I'll use this analogy today because you're in Victoria, but you know, let's just say we're all on a road from Victoria to Nova Scotia, and most of us take the highway, and some people get lost in Saskatchewan or maybe Calgary. and then they get back on the road and they find their way. But it doesn't mean that you can't be off your track here and there with different choices that we make in life. But I feel, you know, what brought me to this and what brings us all to our life and our path and our purpose is ourselves, our spirit, the intention that was brought long before we actually came here. And to kind of sum that up in a story, because I love to tell stories, and I'll probably tell lots of them today. But what made me really innately aware of that was when my dad died, actually, when I was like 15 years old, which is a story in my book, The Language of Spirit, which I will gift away a copy. You know, I'll let Christine decide who's going to get a copy of my book. She'll send me your name and address, and I'll sign it, and I'll send it to you in the mail so that you'll have a signed copy of my book. But I remember very clearly when my dad died when I was 15. I remember, I mean, my mom's upstairs right now in my home today. She's visiting. But I remember her waking me up very early in the morning and saying, hey, Shawn, there's something wrong with your father. He's out on the driveway. Go help him. I'm going to call 911. And so that's what I proceeded to do. I got up, I ran outside, I went to look for my father. I couldn't see my father anywhere, which puzzled me. And so I ran back inside. I mean, mind you, I was 15 years old. It's like 5 in the morning. My dad was in the military, and he used to leave around 5 o'clock in the morning. It was October 16th, 1987. And it was a bit cold. So I seen the truck running that he had just bought. The door was open. And I walked over and looked in the truck. I couldn't see him, and you know, I didn't even know where my father was. So I ran back inside, told my mom, and my mom says, well, he's out there beside the door on the ground. And I said, that's not possible. I was just out there. I just looked in the truck. He wasn't there. He's not around the truck. And she says he's there. So she actually grabbed me, took me inside, pointed me at my father, and then I actually saw him. And was he invisible? I don't think he was invisible, but I believe I wasn't prepared. I was probably in shock. I wasn't ready to see something in my life, or maybe spirit had delayed time in some way as a possibility, because if I would have gotten there maybe a minute sooner, maybe I would have saved his life, but that wasn't meant to be. And so I did perform CPR on him after that moment, and I could not revive him. And, you know, at some point I knew my dad wasn't coming back. I could feel that he was gone. I felt the emptiness of the shell of my father laying on the ground. Now, even though I'm Mi'kmaq, an Indigenous person, I'm very proud of that here in Nova Scotia. You know, I didn't have any culture in the sense where I would talk to the ancestors, but my mom raised me as a young Catholic boy, and the only thing I had to go on was just talking to God, because at that point I didn't know anything about the Creator or guides or angels or anything like that. But I started to speak out and pray and even yell at my dad. And I remember cursing at my father, saying, because I could feel like he was there. I could feel like he could hear my words. I could feel his presence, but not in his form. And even though I was yelling to him, telling him to get back into his body, I just knew that he wasn't coming back. So what happened was, you know, some other neighbors come down and they perform CPR. And unfortunately, you know, my father had made his journey home. And it was about a year later. I was downstairs on the basement of my mom's couch, And the reason why I used to sleep down there, I had my own bedroom, but I used to sneak out at night, and I used to come back like 2 o'clock in the morning sometimes, and my mom wouldn't know, so I'd always sneak out. But I was downstairs sleeping on the couch. I went out, spent some time with friends. I came back and fell asleep back on the couch. And around 3 o'clock, about 3 a.m. in the morning, I awoke, or I thought I had woken. I was having this very crazy, cool, vivid experience where I won't say it was a dream, because it was a like astral visitation, I'll call it. And I had actually stepped out of my body, and when I stepped out of my body, I could see my own body still asleep on the couch, covered with the blanket. And in the rec room downstairs, where my mom still continues to live in Elmsdale, Nova Scotia, I looked off about 45 degrees up on the corner of the back wall, and I could see this enormously bright, brilliant, incredible light. It was like the most brightest, whitest light I've ever seen. And it just got larger and larger, and then out walked my father. And after my father had walked out, I was joyfully happy at first, and there was a moment there where I was actually angry with my dad, because he had died, and I tried to save him, and I wasn't able to bring him back. And he knew I was angry. I didn't even have to say anything. I didn't even have to say a word. And he said, "Shawn, you need to calm down." And I said, "Okay." He says, "I've come to visit you." And I'm looking at what my dad's wearing. He's wearing a long white robe. I thought, this is ridiculous. Like, my dad would be never literally caught dead wearing a long white robe visiting me. He was like a hunter. He was in the Navy. He worked at the Legion part-time sometimes, and being only 42 years old, it's not something I would expect to see my dad wearing. So I was kind of shocked by that too. And he said, "I got a few things to tell you. You have to tell your mom I'm okay. You have to tell your brother I'm okay." And, and I said, "Okay, I can do this." And then, that anger that I had left me a bit. And he says, I need to tell you a few other things. He says, "Everything happens for a reason." He said, "Long before you or I were born, we had this plan that I would leave this world so that I can today show you this light, that which is our home, which where we come from, that you would remember in this life who you are." And I said, "Okay." And he says, "One day you're going to help people understand, where we come from and why we're here, and, where our true home is." And I said, "How the hell am I supposed to do this?" And he says, "You don't really have to do anything, Shawn. It's just going to happen." And I thought, this is just gibberish. And anyway, I just forgot what he had said. And all I could think about was moving past my dad and getting into the light. Because if I could get into the light, because when I saw that light, it felt like home. And it felt like somehow, this is long before the Matrix had come out. I felt like I was in the Matrix. And that was reality, and this wasn't. And I would have left in a second if he would let me leave. Tried to walk past him into the light, and he says, "Shawn, you can't come here." And I said, but I'll just go visit. I'll just take a look. I'll just go there for a minute. I just want to see where this place is." And he says, "No, Shawn, if you come here, you're not going to want to come back." I'm like, "No, I will." He says, "No, you won't." He says, "I need you to remember what I said." And he touched me on my forehead, and I woke up on the couch. And I woke up, and the light was gone, and it was surreal. It was like super cool, but also surreal at the same time, because then I realized that in my mind, that we exist before now, we exist now. There's still communication. There's still a place for us to go. I couldn't describe what that would look like except the light. And that light seems like it was everything. That's all I can say. It was like, it's in everything. It is everything. And it's in each and every one of us. And from thinking about this over time, that if I have a plan in life, I'm not special in the sense that I'm like significantly different than any other person that comes into life. Each one of us has a plan, a purpose, an intention for being here. And whether you think it's insignificant or significant, that's irrelevant. It's that we're here to fulfill that to the best of our ability, to our greatest expression in this world each and every day. And I think so many people get caught up in, into the past or the potential futures that exist, rather than being where they are, and then making a choice every single day about where, what step they take today to go in the direction that they feel like their heart is sending them, where their spirit has been guiding them their whole life.
Wow. That's beautiful. Yeah, be in the presence. And when you say the light, I think of love, and that's it. Just pure love. What a story. Wow. Amazing experience. As you were talking and sharing your story, I was visualizing the whole thing like I was part of it. It was, wow. Very, very sacred and special. Thank you for sharing that with us. I've got a few comments to catch up on. Did you have something?
I was going to say one thing.
Yes.
Based on what you just said there. What just happened there to you with the whole visualization of everything that I described? It is as closest to what I can describe what clairvoyance is like. So when you're connecting the spirit to receive, none of us are, we're all typically too busy in our mind with whatever's going on, our past, our potential futures, or our mind's too scattered to actually allow ourselves space.
Yes.
To receive that visual thing that I put in there through that story that I had experienced. But if we would to learn through meditation, through mindfulness, presence, to be able to create space in our mind, we would all see more things. And not something that I would say or you would say, but spirit would say. And it's like creating space in your mind to have those clairvoyant impressions, to have the clairaudience impressions, the clairsentient impressions, but if we don't create space ever, it's hard for spirit to be part of our life.
Absolutely. I agree 1000%. It's all about the clairs, and some of them are more prominent than others. And that's the work that we do, is to develop that. And to get there, you have to find that 0 point, as I call it, and it takes practice, rinse, repeat. Practice, rinse, repeat, and you have to be willing to do the work too. It's really a lifelong love. It really is. And thank you for sharing. Hi, Darlene from BC. Gail from Victoria. Thank you. It's Kim and Gail. Connie from Windsor. First year of Spirit Talker. Look at all the lovely, the love that you're receiving here today. Lizzie. And Gail's saying she's taking your course right now, which is amazing. We will talk about that, because that's important work that you do. Michelle's from New Brunswick, and she's the beginner. And you know what? We were all beginners once, right? That's very important. And I always say I'm a student of the universe. I'm ever learning, ever evolving. Truro, Nova Scotia.
Yes. No one learned very well.
Nice. You got a lot of tribe members here.
Yeah, I have awesome people. I do teach a course called Spirit Talker Tribe. About developing your psychic abilities and your intuition and understanding the language of spirit, which is, how it comes through and expresses itself through you in a multitude of ways. But the people that I have in my course, they're amazing people. And I feel honored that I'm part of their lives, because I get to help them to have experiences that maybe they didn't think was possible, or help them have experiences that are even more profound than they've had in the past, and help them to replicate that in their life, so that they can still have a continued connection with spirit every day as they walk through their life.
Yeah, and that's so important, because we feel like, it's something outside of us, or, Shawn, he's got those special gifts and I don't have them. I hear that all the time, and it's not true. You just have to develop them. And I guess a big question I always get is, how do I know if it's my intuition or if it's ego, or am I guessing? You get that a lot.
I always say there's you can tell. You can ask yourself, did that come from me or did that come to me? So when you ask yourself that question, you'll be able to very easily answer it, because you'll know that your mind was going to a certain place. But if something just gets interjected in there that you don't know what it means, or you don't understand it, or it doesn't quite make sense to you, but it's getting shoved in there through a clairvoyant and claircognate impression that's being shoved in, then you know it's coming to you. It's not coming from you. And that's I tell people to always ask that question. And your spirit, your psychic abilities, your innate psychic abilities that we all have, would know the answer to that. Absolutely. And I think what it is why we doubt whether it's ego or not, is because there's fear. We've attached fear to thinking that it has to be our mind, so we can't say it. So if we let go of fear and embrace just trust and the connection of whatever comes through, whether it's literal or whether it's figurative, because sometimes spirit will talk in both ways, and that's up to us to use our clairsentient abilities to figure out what it is they intend with this impression that they've given to you. And when you step out of the way and let go of the thought, whether you're right or wrong, whether it's your ego or whether you think it's whatever, you just trust it. And the more you trust and the more you work with it, you realize more flow will come, the more messages will come. And it's like, I always say to people, it's like they leave little breadcrumbs. And we're all on a little journey through our messages or through the connections that we receive. And when you get one little breadcrumb, it could be a vision of whatever, a Christmas tree. And you feel like Christmas time is significant and the tree fell over or something like this. And you feel like this is coming from mom, who's Betty, and you just continue to go. And she's got like a birthday in May, and she probably had a diabetes issue, because you see that she pricked her finger because she had to check her blood all the time. So it's just, I'm sure I'm connecting to somebody, but that's where, when you get in the flow, as soon as you validate one piece of information, the others will come. And it's the little breadcrumbs that you follow, that you trust, and you just keep going and going and going. And then you build a stronger bridge to spirit.
Yeah, a bridge, essentially. Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing. Linda is saying, Shawn is the most amazing mentor.
Thanks, Linda. I did my course too, so.
Yes. A lot of beautiful insight, lots of love for you. Love your story. Can't wait to read your book. Well, wait till the end, Michelle, because we're going to have a giveaway of Shawn's book, and you never know. So true. Mindful self-compassion helps. And yeah, it's hard sometimes to develop space. And there's many ways to get that spaciousness. For me, it's always been meditation, but then yoga. And I'm actually taking something where it's infusing the breath work, the meditation, and yoga all together. So where do you, I guess, direct your students to? Do you give them lots of options, or what's your go-to to really be in that space?
Well, how my course starts, I have 12 modules throughout the year. I always start my module 1 in year 1 is prayer. And prayer, if you're to sum it up in just the simplest terms, is a conversation with spirit. Yeah. And it's words, whether they're someone else's or whether they're yours. I may teach some other people's words in the beginning that you could say, whether it's Joshua or St. Francis or whoever it may be. But really what we're doing is learning about how these people had conversations with source, with spirit, with the creator, with your angels, with your guides. And then when you understand that premise of direction and invitation and speaking to spirit, then you can invite them in. Because even if you create space and you don't have the invitation or the conversation with spirit, they're not just going to just start jumping in there. They're just not going to say, okay, this person's a medium because they've meditated. It's like, no, I've invited them. I've invited spirit to connect to me. I'm open to it. I'm available to it. All spirit and the light, I am available for you to connect and communicate through me. Help me understand the language by which you wish to communicate to me so that I may serve others. whether it's through clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience, claircognizance, clairambience, clairalience, whatever it may be. Help me understand to the fullest of my capabilities, that I would understand these gifts and these abilities that express themselves through me, so that I can serve people to the greatest of my ability. And then when you have that conversation and you invite them, then you learn to meditate. You learn to create space, because one is asking and the other part is to receive, to create space to receive. But they want to know what you intend. So when I'm doing a reading and somebody comes to me in person, I will say, whether I know who they are or not, I'll just say the people that are coming to see me, your loved ones, your friends and family that are directly connected to the people that are coming to sit before me today, I invite you to connect and communicate to me, through clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience. And that I'm open, that I'm available, and in whatever you wish to express for me to the best of your memory and your capabilities to communicate to me, I'm open to receiving that. And then when they come, I will smudge, I will clear my space, I will clear the space that I'm in. I'll even offer some of the medicine to them as part of that invitation and through those words. And then when they sit before me, I tell people what I do and how I do it and how this works. And then I create space. Then I create space in my mind. I create an opening for them to be able to kind of come through. So when they come through, then I may see a person, place, or object, or whatever it may be. But whatever it is, I trust. And then I work with that information that comes through. So I always say, first start speaking with spirit. Start conversing with spirit. Spirit's in the light on the other side. And then, because that's who your intention is to invite in. And then create space. And then learn to understand the language of spirit. And for me, I know everybody that's taken my course or what you teach, I mean, that's super awesome, because they've got the Cole's notes of like how to get into here and like figure this out, in the sense of like having spirit communicate to you as well. Where when I was young, I didn't have the mentorship. I didn't have the knowledge, let's say. And I've been doing this work for 20, maybe 24, 25 years. And it's been spirit that has been teaching me the whole time. Doesn't mean that I don't read a good book here and there, and it helps me understand this or understand that, but it's still spirit teaching me. And it's through the image that I may see that I learn to understand, to look at a thing a certain way. And that grows my vocabulary. So when spirit shows me this, I understand that, or I'll understand it means this or that or whatever. And so my vocabulary has grown extensively through the years of continuing the practice, like you said, the practice of working with spirit. And then your vocabulary becomes very, very, and spirit knows this vocabulary. They work with your guides, they work with your people. So they'd say, okay, well, if you're going to be talking through Shawn today, here's the Cole's notes on communicating to Shawn. If you want to say this, you tell them this. If you want to say that, you tell them that. And they'll figure it out really quick. And they make a connection. So every one of us could have our own vocabulary that is a little bit different. I mean, maybe there's a lot of similarities, and I believe there probably is. But there's going to be some unique things that mean something to you that won't mean something to me. And that's what I've just learned over the years, is that spirit, when they show me something, you learn from what they teach you. And you progress with that trust and that understanding, and just getting out of the way and just letting it flow.
Yeah, I always say that. Get out of the way. Get over there. And just be open and trust. And if you don't ask, you don't get. Exactly. Like if you don't ask spirit to dinner, do you think they're going to show up?
Well, they might, but they're just not going to say, hey, we're at your dinner. I think our people are probably hanging out with us most times and we don't know they're there.
Absolutely. I love the premise of prayer. I've actually practicing to be a chaplain as well. So prayer takes your thought from ordinary to extraordinary. And I always see prayer as co-creative. Mm-hmm. Whereas the old me thought it was something outside of me, again, like spirit, like our clairvoyance or clairsentience. It's all there. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. Michelle was just saying that she lost her mom when she was 12, but she always knew she was still with me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you hear that a lot.
Yeah, well, it's not I don't have any doubt in my mind that Michelle, your mom is with you, probably a lot more than you know. Often when spirit shows up in a reading or in a session, they will validate certain things that nobody should know. To say, hey, I'm with you and I'm around you. And it was ironic yesterday, I just did a reading for 3 ladies from a local Indigenous community that were struggling. And one of the ladies, unfortunately, is struggling with drugs a bit, but is becoming clean. And I felt her life would depend on whether or not I could help her, and so I made an exception to allow her to come in to make the connection. And anyway, they started talking, and I made a connection to specific people. One of the things they showed me was, I said, this sounds funny, but your grandmom's telling me about your dryer that you had a problem with yesterday. I said, I think it's broken. She said, oh my God, my dryer's broken. It broke yesterday. And it's like, why would they tell me that? It's not that they broke her dryer. They didn't. But her grandmom, here she is coming to me to connect to people she feels like that are out of her realm at most times, when they're actually in her space and know what's going on with different circumstances of life. This is not something she publicly posted or put out in any way. This is stuff that is very pertinent that nobody knows except her. And so they use those little pieces of information to validate that, hey, I'm here, I'm with you. I want you to know that I spend time with you. Even if you don't know I'm here, I am there.
Mm-hmm. And, my mentor told me that, I developed a book per se, because it's like playing a game of charades with spirit. Would you not agree? So it's recognizing the signs and the symbols that you talked about that maybe mean something to you. I would actually keep a book and write down, okay, this means you look like him or her.
Right.
That's how and I would discern spirit placement. So if they're on the right, that's the mom's side. If they're on the left, it's the dad's side. The children, animals. I just so that's part of the practicing piece. That's what I learned. I mean, everybody learns differently. And
for me, I mean, when I connect to a person, I don't necessarily feel them on the left or right. I feel their spirit. I feel the connection. I feel that they're on mom's side. Not necessarily on one side, but I feel like they're on the maternal or paternal side. I can just feel the feeling when I connect to them that I know where they're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I feel like they're a friend that is outside of the family.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's and this is where you learn, right? I mean, each, like I said, has their own vocabulary, and when you learn, every time when you connect and you're working with spirit, that's how a lot of this comes through. And then you start to understand much easier, much quicker. There's no charades. It's like, oh, I know what this is. And you're in the sync, and it just continues to go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Rochelle is just talking about your book. It was gifted to her and she read it in a day. Wow. There's a power reader. Nice. I love that.
Not that thick of a book. It's like 186 pages. But
it doesn't have to be A Course in Miracles. That's 1,200 pages.
No. There'll be another book. So this is just the first one.
Absolutely. Are you working on that right now, or is it just in the?
I am working on one. If it's very rudimentary. I don't know where it is on my paper, but I just wrote it down the other day. I wrote down 14 chapters that I would write.
Nice.
So I mean, without even having to think too hard, just like what my next book would be, I wrote down 14 different stories that I think I would like to talk about and share. And I'm sure, and this is when you're in alignment with spirit, when you're in your path of life, when you're doing what you're meant to, it all unfolds.
Yes.
It unfolds in your life. So when you think, oh, hey, maybe I don't have enough material to write a book, so I won't. And I think this is a message for you, Christine, in some sense. But when you think you need to have something else and it's not quite there. But so you don't write those 14 chapters because you think you have to have the whole thing before you let it all come out. But what happens is when you start writing those, Spirit says, well, we want this story to be shared. So they will create an experience so that you can share it. And then another chapter will be available for you to kind of like express in the book. And I have a few stories in my book that I have right now that are in there, and they're pretty cool. One of them is Kelly Dawn Hare, and I'll tell that story because it's a really, really good story, and I love it. And this is where I live in Nova Scotia, and me and my fiance were. I was at her house. She used to live in a little tiny cottage, we'll say, a little 1-bedroom cottage. And I literally lived out of a Costco bag in one drawer for the longest time. But I was cooking breakfast. And as I was cooking breakfast, in my house, cooking bacon. I don't cook bacon often, but I was cooking bacon that day. And then I started to hear a voice in my head, because I'm not always like open to receiving spirit messages, but sometimes they just randomly show up. I was writing my book at that time, hence the story. And so I started hearing the name Kelly in my head. I was like, okay, I'm cooking, and I'm like, then it said it again. There's somebody named Kelly here. And it was Wendy. Sorry, it was Wendy, not Kelly. So it was Wendy kept coming in my head. So I tell Michelle, I said, Michelle, do you know somebody named Wendy? And she's like, well, not really. I'm like, are you sure? Because I feel like, and she speaks to me and goes, tell her I really know her. She's like, I know her. I'm from her past, but I know her. I said, she says she knows you from your past, so maybe it's somebody you went to school with. She goes, well, I went to school with the Wendy. And I said, but why would she be connecting to me? I think she might be alive. And so anyway, she calls her friend, who's just down the road, not too far away. And she calls her friend, and her friend tells her, Wendy passed away. I think it was pretty close to a year ago today. And she goes, well, why would Wendy be reaching out to me? I'm like, I have no idea. I don't know. She just wants to say hi. I guess she's around because it feels like this is your friend from school. And even though it's a long time ago, she's reaching out to you. But I know there's a bigger reason for this, but I couldn't see it right away. And so anyway, me and her daughter went to a movie later, and I dropped Michelle off to go to supper with a friend of hers. And me and Ashley went to the movie. I think it was Flatliners, which was just an okay remake movie. But a good Nova Scotia person in there, Ellen Page, or Elliot Page now, was in the show. And anyway, I went to pick up Michelle after the movie as she was done her dinner, and we were driving home, and it's a little bit dark. And you get in that kind of like highway hypnosis space, because I'm driving and you're kind of in the zone, right? You're quiet, but it's a little dark, and this is where you can arrive home and you think the whole time just passed you by, right? But Michelle asked me a question. She goes, did you think about why Wendy came? I'm like, no idea. And I said, I haven't thought about it anymore, but I'm sure like will reveal itself. So as soon as she's done asking that, I get in that state of mind where I'm kind of open, like driving and just kind of mindful. I hear Kelly Dawn. I'm like, okay, she just made another connection. She's saying the name Kelly Dawn. And I said, does that make sense to you? I said, maybe Kelly is a friend of hers. Maybe Dawn is her husband. I'm thinking the name is D-O-N. And then she started combing her hair. I was like, this is the strangest thing, Michelle. Why? I said, do you remember her being a hairdresser or something? This is like the uncertainty of spirit communication, what you trust. And she says, I don't know. I don't know what. She says, what color hair does she have? I said, it's kind of streaky, but it's short. And she goes, no, her hair didn't look like that. It was like darker when I met her when she was young. I said, I'm just telling you what she's telling me. But she's like brushing her hair, and it's like emphasizing the hair. And then she says, Kelly Dawn again. I'm like, she says, I don't know. So we go home and we go to bed, and I pretty much have given up. I'm thinking, okay, well, I'll figure this out tomorrow. And I get up and then I start searching. I said, where did she pass away? She phones a friend. She goes, I think she was in Kansas. She moved down to Kansas for some reason, and I don't know why, but I think she went down to Kansas. So I start typing in. I said, what was her last name? She goes, her last name was McDonald. I'm like, okay. So I type in Wendy, I type in Kelly, I type in Dawn, McDonald, I type in Kansas. and then I type in obituary because I'm trying to solve this riddle as to why this woman is connected to me. And so anyway, this is where it gets really cool, because then an obituary pops up, and the name on the obituary is not Wendy McDonald, but the full name on the obituary is Wendy Kelly Dawn Hare. But her name is not Hair, it's Hare. I think, oh my God. And I read it, and I said, what was her mother's name? I think her name was Kathy. I said, oh my God, this is it. And the anniversary of her connecting to me was yesterday when I was cooking bacon. And I thought, this is crazy. Like, that's not an accident. And I'm looking up her husband's name because I thought, well, maybe Kelly's her husband or somebody, but actually her husband's name was Steve. And so I go on Facebook trying to find Steve. I find Steve, and he hasn't been active on Facebook in like a year and a half. And I'm like, okay, there must be another reason for this. So I look up her name. Her mom's name is Kathy McDonald, and I search for Kathy, and I find her mom, who is living in PEI, I believe. And I bring up her Facebook profile. And this is the coolest thing, because that morning, just before I was cooking bacon for breakfast, I had posted a post on my Facebook page about how important it is to celebrate anniversaries of the people that we love. Well, yesterday when I was cooking bacon, at that moment she connected to me. Her mother had made a post that was about this long on Facebook. And the post was about how she wishes that her daughter would find a way to connect to her, because she never got to see her for 7 years before she passed. She talked to her every day on the phone, but she regrets not seeing her in person, for so long. And she misses her so much, and she needs a sign that she's okay. And I'm reading this and I'm like, well, Michelle, I think I found where this is meant to go. So I reach out and I say, Kathy, I'm not crazy. I want you to know I'm not crazy. Your daughter, Wendy Kelly Dawn Hare, found a way to reach out to me and reach you, because she wants me to get a message to you. I'm sure of it. I'm not sure what the message is yet, but I think if we speak on the phone, it will unfold. It will reveal itself. So a couple days later, she calls, because I left my number, and she goes, I was pretty skeptical. I checked you out. You seem pretty legit. And I'm like, well, I am. Trust me. And I said, and then she told me about the story after I made some personal connections, which I won't speak about because that's personal. But she told me her name, Kelly. She moved to Kansas because she met some fellow down there who was named Steve. But she was on a dating site. And her name's not actually Kelly. Her name is Wendy, and she used a fake name, Kelly. So after she died, they put it in the obituary. So, and her middle name was Dawn, D-A-W-N, not D-O-N. When I heard it, I just assumed that it was a man, right? Because Kelly Dawn, right? But she said when they did the obituary, because her husband, he never called her Wendy ever. He only called her Kelly. So that's why he'd posted it Wendy Kelly Dawn Hare. And then I understood the hair reference, and anyway, gave the messages. And this is when I was writing the book.
Wow.
What an incredible story. And I spoke to her mom, and I said, this is an incredible story that I think needs to be shared. And I believe nothing happens by accident. But, you can look at my Facebook page, and at that morning, when you were posting about how I wish she'd reach out, to let me know that she's okay, I posted about how important it is to celebrate anniversaries. I said the synchronicity of all this coming together is not an accident. She found a way to reach out to you through a friend. And she, I've never met Wendy, I've never heard of Wendy before, but it was like, I just had to go along. I had to trust the process.
Yes.
And it unfolded and unfolded. And she said, I would actually really love it if you shared that story. I said, well, I'll write it. I'll have it edited, then I'll send to you. And if you feel like still that you would like to have it in the book, then it will be in the book. But if you feel like you don't want it in the book, it won't go in there. But it's your choice. And so I wrote it and did it, and she she wanted me to share it.
Wow, what an incredible story. And everything you're saying resonated with me. I mean, that's how it comes in. It's very random, and it has nothing to do with what you're doing or thinking. And you do follow the breadcrumbs, the trail, the puzzle. And I love how you put the puzzle together.
Right.
Yeah, beautiful. And everything that happened for a reason. And like you said, you trust the process. And I can't wait to read the book. Thank you for sharing that and honoring all of them in that story. Carol is asking, can you talk to spirit too much? Is there such a thing as too much?
I don't think you can ever speak to spirit too much. I think you need to have real physical people, friends. And you can't eliminate everybody out of your life that is physical and just talk to spirit, run around speaking to spirit all the time. We're in both worlds, so it's very important to be balanced. So that you just, it's nice to have guides and speak to them, but I have some good buddies that I run around in the woods with too, and go fishing and drive around my side by side, and do guy things too. But it's good to have balance. But do I think about spirit when I'm out there? Yeah. Do I invite my dad, who's in the spirit world, to come out with me? Yeah, I do. Because I think he would actually think it would be a blast that we're running around out in the woods. And, he'd probably be older now. He probably wouldn't want to be driving around. I'd probably be, having in my passenger seat. So do I feel like he's part of that? Yeah, I do. But do I think about him every moment and speak to him? No. I just know he's there. But I'm still very much engaged in life.
Yes.
In the physical world.
There has to be the balance in above and below, but being grounded and rooted in our physicality. Yeah. Because I know when I started, I was all woo, 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 up in the ethers all the time. And I had some interesting lessons come through. So that is very important to remember to stay grounded. That's actually the card that I pulled for the week is all about grounding. So let's see if there's any other comments. Oh my goodness, there's so many. Somebody else read your book in a day.
That's Jillian. I know Jillian. She's a great student.
Yes.
She has her own podcast. So.
Oh, wonderful. I love that. Oh my goodness. I'm just trying to keep up with everything. You guys are amazing. Just talking about the mother and what a beautiful story. She's in tears.
Hi, yeah. Pat. Nice to meet you.
Yes. Patty's a wonderful support as well. Lorette. She's asking that her aunt passed yesterday. I'm wondering if she can give signs or appear in my dreams.
She can. I mean, you have to give her time. I mean, because there's a time they need to process where they are. I mean, spirit can come through literally right away if they choose to. Oftentimes, spirit doesn't come through right away because they have to honor your healing space, your time. Because we're on a journey here, and some people grieve differently, and some people heal differently. And through that grieving process, it takes time. And they have to honor your time. When they feel like you're ready, they will reach out to you. But it's okay to invite her and tell her when she sees that you're ready, that you're available for that.
Yes, absolutely. Dreams are a very important part of my life and what I share with, in the mentorship as well. It's not just deja vu, it's all synchronicity, and they're speaking to you through your dreams as well. Patty's just saying, important to say I love you. Yeah, that's an important reminder to family and friends. So if something happens, they know how you felt. And we were talking about that before we came on, is to live each day.
Yeah, be present in each day and live each day, and not think that you have to achieve something before you're happy. I mean, you can choose to be happy today and each and every day. And if you can live in that space and place and honor the people that are in your life today. So if you were to lose them for whatever reason, I mean, any tragedy could take place. I mean, God forbid there's COVID going on now, but you just don't know how long people have. But it's important that you be kind, forgiving, generous as much as you can. And just love the people that you have in your life to the best of your ability. And then nobody will be coming to anybody like me or you going, I have regrets that I didn't say sorry to my dad, or I didn't say whatever to mom, or, we live life to the fullest, and then we'll be more balanced in each and everyday life.
Yeah, I really, songs really resonate with me. So Tim McGraw's coming through, live like you're dying.
Mm-hmm.
That's a beautiful song. And then another one, Humble and Kind. They're intersecting.
Yeah.
And it's very, very important. And you're here, personally, I believe we're here for three things: unconditional love, forgiveness, and healing. And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
That is it. And forgiveness is the biggest piece of ourselves, but for others as well.
Mm-hmm.
And don't die with the music in you.
Absolutely. Wayne Dyer.
Yes. It was he was one of, I call him my soul grandfather.
Yeah.
I really started with Wayne Dyer more than anything. So, gosh, can we talk about your show on APTN?
Yeah, Spirit Talker. If you haven't watched Spirit Talker, it's on APTN. I don't know what days it comes on. Typically, it used to come on Wednesdays. It may still. But season 1 is finished. I finished filming season 2 last year in November. I finished filming season 2. Each season has 13 episodes, and the second season will be coming out in the fall of this year on APTN as well. Now, there's a slightly different approach from year 1 to year 2. As year 1, I used to do live audience readings. And when I did live audience readings, I would read maybe 13 to 15 people. And then the producers would pick like 3 people from the audience that I did read, and then select them for one-on-one readings that I would do after a few days later, based on the stories that I connected to in the live reading session. This year, because of COVID, it's harder because there was no live shows, and I absolutely love live shows because the energy is absolutely incredible and awesome to have an audience where you get to connect to people. And it's those things that come up that nobody should know, that people are really shocked by in a live audience, that they know then spirit is really there and communicating and connecting to people and helping people heal and reconnect. But this year, what they did was they had each community that I went to, 13 different Indigenous communities, Mi'kmaq and Maliseet communities on the Eastern Canada, because we had a little bubble thing going there for a little while. And hopefully it's going to come back real soon. But anyway, they would have everybody in the community enter their name for a draw. And then the producers would draw 4 readings or 4 family sessions from each community. And then I would do the readings for them over 2 or 3 days in person, and they would fill in that. And on top of me doing different community things in whether it was like going clam digging or lobster fishing or things like that this year, moose hunting. I'm just glad we didn't shoot a moose, for God's sakes. But it was an experience. But it was, and I did the sessions. I think they're highlighting 2 of each of the readings that I did in each community, and because of the story, because they don't know what's going to come out. I have no idea what's going to come out during the sessions. So, and it's random selection. And when I don't actually get to meet these people until they sit right in front of me, and then I start to make the connection and then connect to the people. And I'm finishing tomorrow. I'm doing the voiceover work for the last 5 episodes, and I've seen most of the episodes. I've been in most of the episodes apparently, but it's a great show. And I think, minus the live element in the first season, you guys are going to absolutely love the second season too. So watch for it on APTN in the fall. And if you haven't watched season 1, please watch it on APTN, or you can actually sign up for APTN Lumi, which is an online viewing service, and you can watch Spirit Talker today, all 13 episodes if you want to.
Yeah, it's a great show. I've watched season 1. I'm ready for season 2. I'm always so inspired, so touched. Bring the tissues as always, because I love to cry. So, all right. I'm just putting this here, guys. So if you want to win a copy of Shawn's book, The Language of Spirit, please comment Spirit. Even if you're on the replay, comment Spirit. Even if you're listening on podcast, send me a message. The draw will be made Monday. So good luck to everyone. And I always ask 2 questions of my guests at the end.
Sure.
How can we as a collective energy help make your dreams come true? Shawn's dreams come true?
I'd say live each day and set goals every day. Not major goals, just little goals, because all the little achievements that you make today will lead to new achievements that you make tomorrow in life. and depending on what your goals are in life, and everybody has different goals, or purpose, I should say. Some people's purpose is just to be a good mom, to be there for their children. They love themselves, they love their home, they love their space, and they're happiest doing that and expressing it to the best of their ability. So be as present and mindful as you can at home, and joyful each day with the people that you're surrounded with. And then those people that have different goals, whether you would like to start a book or, or whatever it may be, start a chapter outline today, and then write one chapter tomorrow, and then maybe another day it'll be another chapter.
Yeah, this is for me. Thank you. I am writing a book right now.
I know that before. That's why I talked about that.
I know. You just know that you know.
Put it off for a little while, yeah. I think because you've been kind of thinking about it, but now you finally put it into motion where you're actually like starting.
Oh, I am. There's a couple things in motion right now as well. So, and the other, thank you for that message. I do appreciate that. And I'm very drawn to that butterfly behind you as well. So I know that there's stories all over your bookshelf, but we're not going to get into that. I guess the last question, I love this question. I always say, well, I've said this before, if you have life, you have purpose. Remember that, guys. And just as Shawn had said as well. What does magic mean to you?
Magic? Everything is magic. There's nothing that isn't magic. Just like spirit. If you could, I think magic and spirit could be interchangeable. They could be the same word, could be the same thing, because spirit is magical. Everything is spirit. Everything that you see in the world, wherever you look, see spirit. See it in a blade of grass, see it in the trees, see it in the ocean, see it in the air, see it in the moon, see it in everything that is around us, because spirit is all around us. We're made from that very things that surround us all. And we're very much connected to it. And it also is spirit and has spirit.
Yeah.
It is magic.
Beautiful. I couldn't have said it better. I love it. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to leave us with? I do thank you for your time. I could talk to you for hours. You have so much wisdom, and you're such a beautiful soul, and thank you for all you do.
Well, thank you. I mean, thank you for all that you do as well. And then thank you for everybody that is here listening today, because, wisdom is meant to be shared. I mean, I could go through life and, have all these experiences and not share them with anybody. And it wouldn't help to change the world. It wouldn't change people's perspectives. It wouldn't change anything. But you have stories. You have a life that's worth sharing in some sense. Even if it's just a story, it may shift a person's life. And you may be inspired to tell a certain person a story. And that's where spirit might be working through you to help guide or direct or give somebody else wisdom. And I think we're all special. And I think we're all spirit. And nobody's greater or less than doing our best. And I'm just happy that we're here connected today, and that I was able to share some of my wisdom with you, and hopefully it inspires you to share some of your wisdom with others.
Absolutely. It's like a spirit infusion. I love it. Thank you so much for your time. I'm sending lots of love to you, and I have a feeling we are going to connect again, whether it's, telepathy or in the physical realm. And if you want to connect with Shawn, I've left all the links to get a hold of him. You can go to his website as well. You can watch him on Spirit Talker. Go get his book. I mean, there's so many ways to support him. And I'm sending you guys lots of love. Thank you. And I just have a few housekeeping. I always give you guys updates what's going on. If you're looking to work with spirit and unleashing your magic, I have a one-on-one mentorship. I also have a group mentorship. So just reach out to me on the website as well. I also facilitate a safe space for, us light workers, us empaths, and intuitives and healers. It's every Saturday at 10 a.m. The links will be in the page as well for that. Thank you so much. And yes, I had such an amazing time. I know that this will live on for a very long time. People will come across this and go, years from now, and be so inspired. And thank you again for the work that you do. And please remember, everyone, healing begins where the ego ends. Take care.